Okay, first of all, for sure I will also to thank Mr. Trakatellis for hosting today this event. I think it's an exceptional occasion to really exchange between the patients' organizations represented today by EURORDIS, the European Commission and the European Parliament, about how we see the future of the European rare diseases policy. Then certainly thanks for having today the initiative of hosting this day. Ευχαριστώ, συγχαρητήρια. Then, we are not in fact now starting for the first time talking about rare diseases in the European Union. We approved in the year 99 the first European program of action on rare diseases. It was a program during the years 99-2003. But in fact, this program was a financial instrument. It has never been an approach trying to orient the activity of the Commission or the Member States in certain particular or relevant fields for cooperation in the area of rare diseases. But it was a starting. The Commission can say that in 99, for the first time, something in rare diseases was done. The consequences of this program on rare diseases in 99-2003, it has been in practical terms significant. Orphanet, it has been a creation or a recreation or a reinforcement on the basis of this program. The reinforcement of EuroCat as the most important surveillance network for the congenital anomalies. The creation of a lot of other projects that have, I think, influenced enormously the development of the European rare diseases policies during these years. That was in 99. In 2000, we had also something exceptional, maybe with the idea of reproducing something that was successful in the United States, the orphan drugs regulation. But it was certainly, and it is always, one of the most successful policies of the European Union during all these years. The orphan drugs regulation is 9 years old. Next year it will be the 10th. But I think it's something that we need always to remember that really are in the basis of the future developments, what happens later in the area of rare diseases. It was also during this time, 99 and 2000, that the European Union decided to introduce the definition of the 5 cases per 10,000 as the criteria for defining a rare disease. It was not a definition coming from a long process of epidemiological contrast of opinions. No. It was simply the threshold considered by the pharmaceutical companies as the threshold for having a return from the investment. So simple like this. But this definition of 5 per 10,000 is finally not so different from the United States definition, 200,000 persons, which represents a prevalence of 6.6 per 10,000. But finally, we are practically in the same line for the definition. And this question of the definition is significant because really has impact, has consequences. And one of the objectives some years later for the Commission, when we launched the idea of the communication and also the Council recommendation, it was also to consolidate this definition as a public health definition, having consequences also for not only the orphan drugs, but for the treatment, for the access to care to patients, for the plans, national plans on rare diseases, for the reference networks, etc., etc. Then this is also the importance of this, in principle, something not very significant as it is a definition. But now, the good point is that we have a definition adopted by the 27, used by the 27, respecting the national situations in 3 member states that prefers to use a more restrictive definition. But for the uses of the European policy, this definition is accepted by everybody. And that's something that should be done only at European level. Because finally, if there is a domain in the field of public health in which the European added value exists and could be not contested by nobody, is the area of rare diseases. There is no any other area in which you can create a so enormous added value with the cooperation between the different stakeholders in the area of rare diseases. Reduced number of patients, reduced capacities in the member states in terms of medical knowledge or other resources. We need to share these resources, and that has been the intention of the European Commission promoting these initiatives. It's true that between this period 1999-2000 and later, it has been certain years in which the Commission has continued to do an intensive work of supporting projects, very important projects, to develop networks of cooperation and networks of information, be it for certain precise diseases. But it's only in 2007 when the health strategy, which is the document that oriented the action of the European Commission for the next period, 2008-2013, the document called the health strategy recognizes explicitly for the first time in a document of the European Commission that rare diseases is one of the priorities for the public health policy in Europe in the coming years. As a consequence, it was easiest probably at this moment to obtain a large consensus in the Commission and with the Member States to launch two major initiatives. One, the Commission communication for a European action in the field of rare diseases. The Commission communication pretends to say what the Commission will do, and after, the Council recommendation for a European action in the field of rare diseases, pretending to say what the Member States should do. That's the complementarity between both. In the Commission communication, we have defined 50 measures. I will not detail the 50 now, because it will be very long. I will only concentrate in 2 or 3, because I suppose, that to try to show you that there are things that were impossible to do at the national level and can only be done at European level. One example that is common to the Commission communication and to the Council recommendation is the visibility and the recognition of the rare diseases. And this visibility or recognition can be simply a word, a sentence that we say today, we need more visibility and recognition. But that has also practical implications. One, the most probably known in certain cases, is the absence of the most part of rare diseases in the International Classification of Diseases. The International Classification of Diseases is the medical instrument used by all the doctors, the coders, the hospital workers that needs to codify and recognize, according to an international classification valid for the whole world, the existence of a certain disease. We have in Orphanet, as you know, practically 6,000 diseases repertoried. How many of these diseases have a code in the International Classification of Diseases? 250. The rest, statistically speaking, not exist. And this is something that cannot never be done, the solution to this problem, at national level. We need an international cooperation to promote a European point of view for the revision of the International Classification of Diseases, promoting and convincing our partners in the rest of the continents that all these invisible diseases not recognized from a statistical point of view needs to be in a classification. Because how many times you and us, we have received letters from citizens saying, in my national health system, they say that my disease not exists because it's not repertoried nowhere. Then, if you cannot really say, no, this disease exists, it's repertoried. It is in Orphanet. Okay, it is in Orphanet, but it's not in now. We need something more official, the International Classification of Diseases. That's a good example of European cooperation. And we have created for this purpose a working group on classification and codification, and we received from the WHO, which is the body responsible for the revision of the International Classification of Diseases, the nomination as what they call STAC, Topic Advisory Group on Rare Diseases, for the revision of the current version of the International Classification of Diseases, and the new version of the International Classification of Diseases should be adopted around 2014. And we are doing an effort for promoting the presence of all these diseases in the new classification. That's important. That's an example of how we can contribute in practical terms in European added value to a more visibility and recognition of the rare diseases.